Hey guys. Hi, hi. Oh, hi there. Hey everyone. Everybody's clicking in here. Good to see some familiar faces. Sort of see them. Now I can see them better. Yeah, hey guys. Wow, good crowd already. I'm just gonna keep my eye on the door. There's 20 some odd, probably of 35 or 6 coming. So that should be a good crowd. Lots of interest in tonight's and curiosity in tonight's session. Yeah, just gonna make sure I admit some more. Cool. This is so cool. I'm excited to get started at last. Wow. um, okay. So I'm just gonna let a couple more in, and then we can get started. Yeah, so as we kind of get the room filled up, because it's a big crowd, I probably should suggest or encourage that everybody stay mute for at least the start till I get through a few items on the agenda, and then at a as yet to be determined time, we can go unmute and get to the question, the in-person and vocal questions. Having said that, you're free to and encouraged to throw down, just spill them as you go. All the questions you have that pop up or that you already had thought about, be either just in your initial, it hasn't been long, but the initial experience with using VDOT for those that have, yeah, or not, or you haven't used it yet, but you've got a question you think you think is going to come up, and if you have it, probably others do as well. So yeah, let's kick into gear. So yeah, welcome to summer fall 2021 running season, probably mostly in person for real. Looks like we're going to start that way, and I hope we continue to and through the season and finish that way. Ultimately, and I don't think I'm getting too optimistic or ahead of myself, with culminating in real live events of some kinds in and around, well, the city or outside the city or outside the province or maybe into the US. On that note, I did mention a little bit about this in one of the last couple of newsletters, but let's keep that discussion going about events. I have a pretty good ear to the ground, but it's it doesn't hear everything, and so if you in any number, in any way in your running circles or social media, wherever you get information, if you hear about events that surprised you that you didn't know was going to happen or they think is going to happen, throw something up on our Marathon Dynamics Facebook page or drop me an email or a message, just so I can kind of inventory and catalog that, because people are looking for options in and around. I know many of us are at least defaulting to the waterfront marathon, 5K, 10K, half, and the full. If for no other reason that's a pretty middle of the road timeline, and so that either it will go ahead or if it doesn't, there will be something alternative in its place. But yeah, let's keep all ears on deck on the event horizon, as it were. Okay, so keep me informed. If you just heard something, throw it into the chat. Everything you throw in the chat, I'm going to save, and especially with the questions about VDOT, I'm going to try and get back to you individually once I've had this chat with down south with the VDOT Brain Trust. So that covers that stuff. Quick other housekeeping notes, just because we are on the cusp of kind of chunking back into action for group in-person, coached workouts, intensity workouts. I think it's now 6 groups that over the next week or two will start up. There's only, some of them have 2 or 3 spots left, others have 6 or 7. There's a few, not many, in each of these groups. So our hope is that by Canada Day, we have who we have, and we're locked and loaded, and for July, August, September, October, these are our crews, both in microcosm sense, their own little groups, and as I say, some of them will be pretty little, 10 or 12 people, others will be up to 20 or so, and collectively as ourselves, we hope to have up to 100 people. In fact, on VDOT so far, I think there's close to 70 that now have accounts set up on VDOT, and we only have room. They only allow us 99. So yeah, we're getting, I guess in one way, we're getting kind of close to filling quota up, our max team size for the season. So that's kind of exciting. Already, oh yeah, if you've already registered, make sure you've updated your profile. Tell us a little about where you've been, you're at, and where you want to go. That's very important, whether you do it on My Run Dash or whether you do it on our old, very soon to be replaced. It's in the offing, but for now, the old website interview. Either way, we just need that information to build your plan, and include some kind of speed check if you can, whether it's a mile trial self-test or a hard run for 5K or something to give us an idea, because we're so out of events. We don't have a bead almost on anybody at this point from a race context. So that would help us. And of course, that you're linked to VDOT. Grab one of those last 25 or more spaces left. And if you already are, or if you're not registered yet, please email me before you do, because some of those, as I said, are really getting close to filling up. And because of COVID, I guess in the most immediate sense, but also for other reasons, we aren't going to have more than those people. So I don't want to be oversubscribed. We don't want to have too many people in each of the groups. So let me know if you're interested from this point on, and yeah, we'll find a home and a place. And just looking a little further ahead, it's not here yet. It won't be for a little while, but Sunday, the weekend group runs that for so many years have been part and parcel, very social and critical, I find, really important aspect of our routine. They aren't in play for obvious reasons and haven't been for a while. I would say after Canada Day, there's a good chance we will reintroduce them. That should be back, in the High Park, west of High Park area, because High Park, I think, is still closed. So we have a spot there by the small white bridge, if you know what that is. Not far, not at the Canada flag, which we were doing last year, but not far from. That will be our locus. It's a big parking lot, so very convenient to gather there. So that's in play, hopefully by early July. And race pace runs for have always been a staple, but I think without the alternative of real live races in the short term, July and August, I would love to find out, but I don't think there'll be too many there. So in the next 2 to 3 months, race pace runs may have an extra special allure and purpose for us. We've scheduled those for July 25th, August 22nd, and September 12th. You don't have to write that down. We will be populating all your VDOT accounts with those dates, so you can kind of anchor around those quasi events, if you want to call them that, as mid-season checkpoints and tests of where you're at and rehearsals for real live racing, because we're all a little out of practice on that. And yeah, a final reminder that through our sponsors, which include Totem, Life Science, they have that first injury-free option for any and all who are unfortunately perhaps interested. If you have a little niggle and you're wondering if it's getting worse, go see them, get it diagnosed and get a beat on it, so before it turns into something full-fledged or more serious. But you have to email me and I'll set up a requisition for you, and that's free, at least for one, not for all your visits. Saucony has that 20% off on any and all model carried by Blacktoe. We have that standing 20% off discount up to 3 pairs. So if you've already used it, that's cool. You still probably have 1 or 2 left, unless you've used them all. And if you haven't used it, please do. There's some great models from Saucony right across the board. And yeah, I'll put that in the next week's reminder, or the discount code, so you have it and can use it. Not more than 3 people. They're watching. They're keeping track. But yeah, you can use that as well. And that's all part of that. And we'll have to be announced dates for discount weekends shopping at Blacktoe and group buys for Endurance Tap, probably in the next month. We'll announce that. So hopefully you have enough to get you through the next few weeks. But yeah, we'll do those as well. And that's all part of our half-back program, trying to save you half of what you might have invested in your coaching and training with us. So that's housekeeping. Now, getting on to the feature element of the evening, which is the VDOT system, moving to this program for first time for us. Yeah, this, as I said in the intro or promo of this. It's not a tutorial. I'm not going to get the screen up and go, X's and O's and all your technical issues. So this is more of a one stage back, thinking it through before you get to that stage for and do some more research in it. There will probably be more questions than answers, and that's okay. I want as many questions as I can because I'm going to go get answers. So, but maybe we can solve some simple ones along the way and get some good big ones for later. So yeah, this is a kind of a beta season, sort of testing it out, trial phase. We're challenging ourselves to keep all of the critical, robust, and so powerful aspects of our old current, if you want to call it that, system, while moving to this more modern platform and kind of capture all the obvious advantages of it in terms of modernization and online and phone capability, ease of tweaks and changes is extremely it facilitates those as we go. If you have training, not only doesn't always, but hardly ever works out as a printed page or as you plan it. So this allows for tweaking and adjusting speeds of workouts, and even if needed, that'd probably be a more major than I missed a week of training. But if you've had a bit of a side swipe or a derailment in training, we can move the entire program very easily. It doesn't require a whole rework. So there's lots of advantages on that side, and of course, not the least of which is the online ability, if you, for lack of a better word, the fact that it's there with you on your, on your computers, your laptops, on your phone, at a moment's notice to use that. And there's going to be other advantages in coaching as well that are to come. And we're not going to pop that on everyone, including myself and our coaches right away, but we're going to do, just like I said, a kind of a trial over the next 4 to 6 weeks, migrating and using more of the purposes that they have in this system for coaching at our workouts. But yeah, we'll certainly start like we have for familiarity and necessity getting rolling. So those will come down the line. But that's really it. We're going to use it certainly for sure as a training plan creation and provision tool from VDOT. We will ask and encourage, but certainly not insist, that people use it as either a training log or maybe just a background training log, a backup to what you're already using and probably more used to if you're using an online log like Strava or Garmin Connect. Or any number of other systems. And as I said, we'll ultimately get to using it as well in coaching, probably more as much real live coaching in training groups as opposed to the online, though that remains to be seen. Because I've been getting so used to coaching through the virtual stuff with people through Strava and Garmin. I don't know that we'll need it, but we'll look at that as well. Okay. And that goes for you as well. We don't want people to feel like it's been foisted on them and there's no options and no choice. You have complete flexibility on how much you use it. There's a spectrum, and wherever you fall on that, that is completely fine. It can be from, on the one side, sort of a slow adopter, low adapter, old as a raptor type side of the, I'm a little unsure of all this and I don't like it, if you're in that camp, to the really, I don't know, high tech and love this stuff and always on to the next thing. There's a full range. If you're more the former, and I'm closer to that side myself, full disclosure, you can do things like just, once it's there, print it out. There's a toggle right beside your name, whether it's on the computer, probably more likely on the computer than the phone, but definitely on the computer. I see it on the phone. That you can print out a month at a time or many months at a time of your plan to have that schematic and visual. It's in there, and then use that as your guide. As many people used to use our Excel pages, they'd print them out one at a time. Well, you can do much the same thing, and that's it. Perhaps you just use it as a way to get your plan, print it out, and take with you. That would be one side of the spectrum. And then you could use a written log. I only within a year ago or so stopped doing that, but some may still. And if you don't, as I say, you can just have the plan and auto use your Garmin or other watch to feed your Strava or your Garmin Connect log, and keep your record and your subjective notes and diaries to your training there as well. So that's okay to do. On the other side, of course, those with Garmin models, like, I think they have to be a little fancier, probably ahead more than a Garmin Forerunner 235. I don't think that even works, but maybe after that, maybe 245 or higher. I know the Phoenix ones and the Rolls-Royce ones with more features and programmability. If you're that side, you can, and you may want to, and some have already, and I'm going to turn the floor over to a couple of them for feedback and a little bit of an impression, first week of impressions on this. But if you want to have VDOT workouts downloaded onto your actual Garmin watch and kind of run the workout for you or with you, you can do that. A few have tried it, and there's a couple of, as there always is, a couple of glitches with split times I've heard, but other than that, it's pretty cool is the general feedback for those that are so oriented. Or you're going to end up somewhere in the middle, which is like me probably, sort of a moderate. I pick and choose eclectically. Yes, I want to use it as to get my plan. Probably more of a computer guy than a phone guy, but it's nice to have the backup of it on the phone, and I'll manage it on the computer. That's where I'll do most of it, and then keep using my Garmin or my Strava and Garmin Connect log as my training log. So there's, and I won't do the and I can't right now because my Garmin, I have the 240 or the 245. I can't do the programming, so I won't. But even if I could, I probably wouldn't, at least not yet. That's just me. As I say, everybody's different and everybody has their own preferences, and as you should. So before I just go into really, it's just the last couple of things about how we're going to use VDOT. Maybe I could just ask, I think I see Paul Heyer to unmute. There he is. And let me double check. Have I got Paul? There's a lot of screens here. Have I got Paul Jamil? Paul Jamil, unmute if you hear me. I can't quite see you yet. Let's start with Paul Heyer, and anybody else who has not or has their program, uses a higher level Garmin and has gone that route and tried to practice using it. Again, this is just for those that for the benefit of those that haven't, just to get an idea, might I do this, and what's been the initial reaction? How tough is it? What are some of the problems? That kind of thing. So Paul, what have you found in your first week or so of using it?
Well, first it surprised me because I turned on my watch and it asked me if I wanted to do the workout for today. And so
like having a little coach bobblehead on your shoulder.
There's definitely a little coach there.
Yeah.
And it is automatically downloaded by VDOT onto your Garmin Connect. And then, as Kevin says, you have to have a higher than a 235. It's not going to work with your 235. Mm-hmm. But you probably, I'm not sure, all the workouts, I just checked on my Garmin Connect, and all of the workouts I signed up for like 4 months are already on there. All the VDOT workouts are on there on my Garmin Connect. Wow. So it's automatically going to show up on your phone. If it doesn't show up on a phone, you may have to sync it. But I think when you sync it, it's going to, load a lot of that data. And it's very interesting because every aspect of the workout is loaded on there. So you basically push the button. Let's say you're doing intervals at Bishop Allen or something. You push the button, it's going to tell you, okay, now do your warm up. It tells you how many Ks, doesn't give you a pace. So it says, do this number of Ks for your warm up. And it says, stop, rest 2 minutes, do your first stride. And then rest 15 seconds, do your second stride, et cetera, et cetera. Then it goes into your intervals. And it says, do your first 2K interval at this pace. And what Kevin and I have been discussing, it gives you, even though Kevin, let's say, wants you to do, say, a 4:15 pace, Garmin
maybe for Paul, and by the way, disclaimer, not many people are doing it 4:15 pace, but
well, for 2K, it's Garmin Connect's going to give you a range between 415 and 430. So I'm used to having one number to shoot for, but at least if it's a hot day, you can back off a bit. Then you do that interval, and your watch is going to buzz at you if you're going, outside the range. So if you go too slow or too fast, even, it's going to slap your wrist and say, slow down, like a coach. And so you do your interval, then whatever rest is programmed in there, it's going to count down that rest before you do your next interval, et cetera, et cetera. Then it'll say, okay, you're done your intervals, take a little rest, and then do your cool down. And then the watch will buzz at you and say your workout's done. So, some of the challenges of that, if you actually happen to push the split button, it's going to take you to the next phase in your workout. So it skips your current phase. So you really, unless, let's say, you want to shorten the rest, you probably don't want to push the split button. Or if you're doing, let's say I want you to do 100-meter striders, say you want to do 50 meters, and you can, either let it run its course or push the split button and go to the next one. So I did the progressive run on the weekend, and it was awesome for that because every 6K, it let me know what my next pace should be. And I didn't have to keep it in my head. I could look at the watch. It was there. And so far, so good. I like it. And you can pause it. You can hit your stop button and pause it. Like say you hit that doesn't affect the workout. So say you hit a traffic light or something like that. And when we were doing our intervals on Wednesday, it was quite hot. So we decided we'd like a little extra rest. Yeah. So we stopped the watch. We paused it and took an extra rest. So yeah, I like it. You have to be, be willing to be flexible. Like say you're not feeling the pace on that day, then, don't get all upset by your watch buzzing and vibrating at you.
Yeah. No, that's terrific. That's as good or better than I thought that might go. I think for individuals that are so oriented and equipped with that technology, it's probably a very viable and maybe even recommended way to go. When I say individual, I mean those doing their workouts on their own. It sounds like it could work for an individual in a group setting, as you've said, because of you can manage it, kind of find ways to hack and override the rest breaks, and because that's the only thing, you can't run it by the numbers on the clock when you're in part of a group, because there's a little longer rest here, a little shorter rest there, and things don't always work like a clock, as best as the coaches try to keep it working that way. So it might be a little fuzzy on the edges for group workouts.
I agree. And the other challenge, Kevin, is let's say it's a track or high park or something.
Yeah.
And you've got a measured distance on, like you're saying, here's the you want to do 4 laps at a track or whatever.
Right, but the track's 390.
Yeah. Or high park is you're running through the trees on the satellites.
Right. So it's slowing you down. It's not giving you a true speed.
It's not giving you a true speed. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's where the coaches and the system at the group workouts will kind of take over and run it that way. So your data will be background. But yeah, for independent workouts, either occasionally or as the default, for non-group workouts through the week, which is what a lot of us do, when you're independently doing O&Ps, and like you said, with a pace change progression run, that could be a really valuable tool, because otherwise it's a lot of math sometimes when you're thinking too hard, and on a hot day that's not easy. So there, that's pretty good. Paul Jamil, I don't know if I saw him. Shout out if you're here, Paul. Don't see him on either of the screens. So, but that was a good little, wet the whistle, wet the appetite on will I, won't I, if I have a fancy Garmin to that side. But don't worry if you don't. I have always used manual, and probably will for much longer. I don't know about forever. So that's some of the functionality that you can shortly have with it. A couple of things that you'll see when and a number have, many that I kind of see here have got plans, and others are soon to have them. When I sent the notification that your plan is on VDOT, I did mention, this is more comparatively for those that we've worked with for other previous seasons and many seasons in many cases. This system as yet doesn't, or I haven't found yet how, and it's probably the number one question on my list. I think it is, first one anyways, to VDOT, is I don't think it can calculate, forecast rates of individual improvement or predict that like our current existing system did, or like I have fashioned it to do that based on successful completion of each week of training, and therefore you're improving as you go at different rates in different ways. That's part of the magic of the old system. This one, it's all based on that VDOT logarithm compression of your speed potential over longer distances, and it predicts your training paces. Those don't change unless your VDOT is changed, and your VDOT only changes if you do a mid-season, like if you set it up, I guess could be a time trial or an actual race where you're in that race mode, and I mean, I guess you'd say you'd be looking for it to improve, to get better, or I don't know yet because I haven't seen it happen, but I guess if you had a bad race, or it would actually slow down your training, but it would react to races or to you or your coach going in and changing it. Okay, so unless I hear differently from VDOT, the plan that I've fashioned is, since we have phases of training, you've got your base endurance and your strength transition, and then your speed and sharpening and taper. Since that's the way we have it structured, I basically said, well, within a week of finishing each phase, and you can always see in your plan or even on your phone, those little pink dot notes, where you are. It's like week 1, week 2, week 3 of base, and then it switches to week 1 of strength, and week 1, and so on. So when you're changing phases. And I'll send a form out for this, just a simple click, 3 questions to ask and answer before you finish the phase, so that we can do the reckoning. It's sort of like that reality check that many are know, fondly or not, that we do before races at the end of the season historically. So that's going to be our barometer of checking, and it will probably base it for now and the foreseeable couple of months on any race pace workout you do, at least how that goes, because we'll finish that and you'll be on to your next phase. So we'll use those as should we jump up, and of course the more subtle, nuanced, and important part, by how much should that change each phase. And the beauty is that once we make that decision to change, it's touch of a button, and the existing plan on your system changes virtually, like real time. So yeah, so it can be changed to, and that's how we'll manage that part of the improvement, so that all this training I'm doing makes a difference. That would be nice to have it happen. And the other thing that I haven't yet found out, fashioned, is a way to, we could set up all kinds of templates as to where key workouts, those anchor workouts, the ones that drive 90% of your improvement and potential change in ability, your real quality workouts, things like intensity workouts, ordinary mortal pace, the OMP steady state threshold, and long runs and race paces. Those things, those are defaulted right now, and for the foreseeable future, till we can find out a way to change it. To Tuesday is in your programs is intensity day. Thursday, I think it's defaulted for your OMP day, and Sunday for your long run day. Of course, you can do those, well, not in any order, but you can move them around as you need to, as you see fit. In any number of ways, I guess. I would recommend, obviously you don't want to break some of the cardinal rules of training. You don't want to bookend them back to back right together, or line a bunch of them up together, squeeze them together. You want to separate them with at least something, a day off, a recovery run, an easy day, a cross training day, something in between those big anchor workouts. But you can move them around extremely easily individually. I would say on the computer. I have never tried it on the phone, though some may have. I think some have, and it wasn't easy. So you can certainly do it on your laptop. I would suggest this even if we didn't use VDOT. I have before. You should have a place and time in your week where, for even if it's 5 minutes, you just sit down and breathe and review how it's going with your training. There's that, you know, could be 5, some people take 10, but it's that you is a meeting of the mind and with your plan and how you're training you, that triangle of important aspects to your, you know, to improving as a runner. And in that moment, that's where you could, well, this is how I've done. And oh, this week, I'm either going to, for now, default, yes, I'm going to move my to Wednesday for my intensity. And you just click and drag, quick drop, move them around. And then, or, you know, that's either general or this week in particular, I have a circumstantial stuff that's going to mean, how do I shuffle it? And you figure that all out ahead. I'd like that because it not only gets things in the order you expect to use them days ahead for the foreseeable days, but it actually gets you, you may actually look at it and, you know, oh, that's what's, oh, that's a tough year. Oh, thank God, I get a freebie, no OAP this week. You kind of get to know you more of what's coming, and telegraphing and thinking about, you know, spending time either on the back burner of your mind is a great thing for training, rather than just waking up and looking at the screen and says, what do I do? So yeah, it's a little more engagement, I find. And that for now, that's not a bad thing. So let's roll with it, and I will follow up with VDOT on if I can, you know, make that final push to like we have in our old system, where I try and create it based on, if you want a long run on a Monday and, you know, speed work on a Friday, so be it. Let's do it. I can do that for you. But in this system, it's a little trickier. So we're working on that one. And is it lastly, drag and drop? Oh yeah, qualitatively for speeds, there are some differences, as I'm sure you found if you've now worked with it for a few days or a week or two, for those that got the very first plans. But not radically. Like intensity workouts line up within scant seconds. OMPs are extremely close to the way we, you know, used to or have or up till now have done. Long runs are similar, but if anything, slower, recommended slower. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it gives a range, and I think you should could probably use the front end of the range as your default. You know, this is about how I expect it to go. If everything's ideal, if it's good weather, if you're rested and ready and everything's, stars are aligning, use that front end. But if anything isn't, heat, humidity, extremely hilly course, brutal wind one direction, whatever, externally or internally, if you aren't up to snuff for any number of reasons, allow yourself liberally to fall back into that. It's about a 30 seconds per K slower range. And I think that's a free and fun way to do it. You don't have to get all calculatorly to play with the range. So that's actually probably a good thing to have that. And yeah, otherwise it gives, you know, and we've got some new workout, a little bit of new workouts in there with hill charges, change the fartleks for many types of plans, just a little, usually gives you more rest, which isn't a bad thing. So yeah, those are some of the biggies. I know as well that you can and should. I always worry with more exact information that people lose the big picture and the subjective because of the presence of very specific objective. Obviously adjust not just your pace a little, but on next level, more extreme adjustment would be distances. Knock off a K or 2 or even 3 or more on a long run. When it's not happening that day, you know, you can go get that 2 or 3K back later in another week and add on when things are on fire and you're feeling like you could run forever. So yeah, over under is a much better approach than feeling you should nail everything. That's just an over time, you know, mean average line target of averaged improvement and averaged increases in volume and things like that. So don't sweat the quotes, the small stuff too much. Okay. Yeah, I think I kind of got through most of what I kind of wanted to say. So there's some of the information. Does anybody have, I've got, let me see, a few questions, nothing major. Let me see. I'm going to look through these questions while, if anyone has verbally, publicly, do you have any impressions, questions, things that you want to, I see what Wayne here has one. Wayne, do you want to unmute?
Yep.
Hey, hi.
Thanks very much, Kevin. I've been using the system now for a couple of weeks. I found it really great. And like Paul, I got my 4 months of training right ahead of me, all downloaded, which is great. I'm not going to look at it because I'm sure that'll scare me.
Yes,
But
good idea.
one of the features I like is that you can switch the days around really easily on the computer, so that your schedule can suit other appointments, weather, that type of thing. So that's good. So my question is, tomorrow when we're at the track, what do we do with VDOT? Because I'm guessing that what you're going to assign us is not going to be what is in our plan. And do we just cancel it, or what happens?
I would suggest the following, because you're partly right. It's many cases won't be exactly to the letter, but it will be obviously close. It will be part of that family. It may be a week offset. Then, you know, if we're doing a straight tempo instead of a cruise tempo, or a cruise tempo plus instead of a straight tempo. But we'll get through all your workouts. It might just be 1 week offset here and there. And the numbers may be close, but not exact. So it'll have the character of it. I would suggest that if it's on the schedule, you can leave it there. When you do it and finish, I know on the computer, once it's downloaded, and I believe on the phone, though, again, I don't go crazy with the phone, but when I'm on my phone and it says session complete, I know on the computer, you can then say, or you can go in and say session completed or session modified. And I think if you clicked on modified, if it wasn't exactly that, you know, if it didn't line up perfectly, if you just clicked on modified, it'll accept the data. It'll spit it into VDOT. And of course, it's already on your Garmin Connect or Strava. So I think that's the way. If you just click modified most of the time, modified workout, because there's like 3 things. You can say completed, modified, or skipped. I think that's how you can play it. Does that help? Yeah, okay, great.
Kevin?
Yes, Roya.
Hi.
Hi.
Kevin,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I don't have a plan yet, right? And that's what I'm not seeing it. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm.
Yes, and that's a good point or comment or question. There are a number, there are a number that do have it. There is also a number that don't have their plan yet. I'm working feverishly to finish the templates, the whole families of templates for the shorter distances. So the halves are almost done, but even there's one more family of, well, I'll call it lower volume training half that I still have to finish. Then I can do the 10K. If I can, I'm holding on and I'm trying to finish them all.
Yeah. Don't worry. I just had a.
You want to make sure that.
I just had a pretty impactful fall at the zoo last night, so I spent my day at Emerge. So I don't think I should be running.
All right, so you're not too worried about big work.
Don't be too worried about my plan.
No. That's okay. So I would, except for someone who's pointed out that they have a September, I don't know, early September, mid-September race or something, then I've gone ahead and built their plan as best I can with our current system, just to make sure they're getting going. But anybody else, like if you're looking at, and then of course we don't 100% know when these events will happen either, but let's assume that waterfront, for the sake of argument, is real and we'll go ahead, or something later than that. So that's October 17th. I believe, today is 18 weeks before a race day, which for a marathon is good. It's right in the realm. For a half is almost long, but acceptable. So I'm hoping to make sure I get all the plans for the half out by, so they can jump in for Monday of next week. Also, because there aren't too many, but there's out there, the 5s and 10s, I will try and get them done for the same timeline so that you have at least 17 or more weeks of training. So yeah, that's a good question. And again, apologies to anybody that might have been waiting on a plan. That's the holdup. I would have, they're very quick to do once they're ready, but a lot of work to do, get them ready.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you. I only see one screen at a time, so I'm looking around. Maybe unmute and shout out if you've got a question. We must have done a really good job because there's not too many. Oh, wait. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go. Well, if anybody does verbalize, let me know. I'm Oakville. Oakville. I'm just reading some of the questions. Sarah, Oakville in October. You mean like the Oakville, the regular Oakville half in 10K and stuff, right, Sarah? I haven't heard yet. I mean, yeah, the ones I have, Waterfront is planning, and of course you jump the queue if you register for the virtual for $40. So I'm thinking that's probably a good investment, one way or the other, to guarantee you get, you know, a window where you're in before the hoi polloi everybody else, because things will be popular if that goes live. I know in Muskoka is filled up and waiting list is longer than the race itself. What else? There's Montreal. I mean, not that it's everybody can just jump off to Montreal for a 5-hour trip either way, but Montreal, the end of September, that is, according to them, it's live and going ahead. And if you look at Quebec's case counts, they're down to 130 for 140 the last few days for the whole province. So if anybody does it live, I would bet Quebec will probably do it first. And Hamilton is making a lot of noise. I'm on their distribution list waiting for them to make it official. Of course, they can't do it just yet, but I would bet because of the timing and the outsidedness of Toronto, slightly smaller scale, that Hamilton on November 6th or 7th would be a go. There's a race in Toronto, either as a straight up for the shorter distance focus crowd this year, or as a lead up, a tune up, a first race in forever. There's one, the Yorkville race. Many have done it before, right? It used to be called the B&O race, 5K. It's kind of making waves that it's on. You know, it has a virtual, is the only one that's for real, for sure. But they've got a real live race fee and that. So I'm kind of looking at that as the very earliest, mid-September for that. But that's the best I can do on that. Oh, an endurance tab. Hey, if I could pass it through the screen, it's here. I've got your endurance tab. I'm going to put it in my truck, my car, my SUV for all the sessions. So if you're asking that questions and you're in one of our training groups, ask and answer. Just make sure you remind me, and I'll hand it to you at the workout. So you'll have your endurance tab from the last order here, or the prizes from the races we did a month ago. Yes, Jane, of course, mentioned that in the US, they're whole hog, and in Berlin, yeah, they say they are, and they feel they are, and they're planning on it. All the majors, Boston, Chicago, New York, Berlin has set a field of 30,000. So it looks like real live racing in a big picture sense is, yeah, genuinely.
So Kevin, just
yes.
a quick question on these races. They're not mandating anybody to have a vaccine, right?
I don't know.
Can I answer that?
Oh, yeah, we got two contributors. Jane first, and then Paul. He's had it.
Yeah, can you hear me? They all have their own regulations.
And they're slightly different.
And they're slightly different. Actually getting on a plane, there are certain regulations to actually get on the plane. You have to then, some of them you have to retest again when you get to wherever you're going at your cost. And even if you're fully vaccinated, you still have to have a 48-hour recent negative test to get into the country. And then to get into the expo, you need to have it, and then to get to the race. So if you're planning on doing one, check, because they all have different regulations depending on the race and the country and so on.
That's a good point.
So,
as I kind of expected, they've got to be careful when they're contemplating this. Paul, did you have anything to add to that, or is that?
I think she's covered. I mean, for Boston, also all these races are sold out, so you're not going to get into them.
Yeah.
But for Boston, they're saying probably two negative tests. But that, something starts on a vaccine passport. then they may, if that becomes,
And they could waive that maybe.
they could waive the tests. And then you have to hop on the bus. You get a pre-assigned bus time. You hop on the bus, you jump off the bus, hit the porta potty, and you start the race.
No, really?
Yep.
Yeah, there's
That's
no
a little
hanging
different.
around.
I know.
No more. What about the 3-hour wait?
No,
Sitting in the grass.
Might be a good way to go in the future,
Yeah. It's like you now live like an elite. Off the
Exactly.
bus, porta potty, and into the corral. Well, yeah.
I think
So
you need I think you need a negative test when you exit the porta potty as well.
yeah, for so many reasons. So yeah, on that note, closing
It's
with a
going to be
zinger,
a nightmare. It's going to be a nightmare.
but a wonderful one. Come on, if it
It's
actually works.
nice. Yeah, the nice thing is that the numbers are down.
Yes.
I think New York is like 20,000
Wow.
this
Yeah,
year.
in field sites.
And yeah, they've really cut back. So that'll be an absolute delight.
Yeah, it won't be quite.
Mm.
For those of you who've done it, how many times have you done New York?
Me,
Yeah.
New York, 16 times.
So you'll have something to compare it to.
So it'll be lovely. It'll be like the olden days.
Yes, I've never done it, so I wouldn't have that to compare yet. It's on my list, bucket list. All right. Any last minute questions? Because I'm going to save the chat. I'm going to save the whole thing for if we need anything of it. I'll try and edit it so it's a little tighter, and then those that weren't here can play in and plug in and see what's what. But yeah, and I know, there's more questions, and I've got lots that weren't even asked and talked about here that I'm gonna work on VDOT, and just understand that it's flexible. It moves at the pace you're gonna move at the pace you're comfortable with, and adapt and adopt as you will. But I mean, at the very basic, it's a new way to get your plan and see it and update it and change it and use it, and then how you use it beyond that is going to be very up to you. At least for this season. We may, after we've played in the sandbox here for, all full season, well, we may get a little more structured and definitive, but necessarily I think we have to be flexible and wide open on this stuff. Okay. So with that, almost on time. I think I said 7:45, I'm a couple minutes late. I'll let you guys get back to your evening. And yes, I'm looking extraordinarily forward to seeing not just your face on a screen, but well, 6 feet away anyways, but in person, starting up at some of the groups. 3 of them start this week. Oakville tomorrow evening, not High Park, West End Toronto, Bishop Allen on and a satellite. We're splitting up our group there to run at 2 different tracks. So 2 of those groups will start Wednesday evening in West End near High Park, but not at High Park. And Lawrence Park, early 6 a.m. The following morning on Thursday. And then the next week, we add a couple more groups, the Monday night and Tuesday morning. Monday night, Midtown, and Tuesday morning, High Park. So yeah, one way or another, in about a week, we're all in action, and away we go. Thank you guys for coming.
Thanks,
and
Kevin.
We'll see you in a bit.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.
Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Kevin. Thanks.
Bye. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks so
Thank you
much.
so much. Okay, see you later. Save chat.
Mm.
Trying to figure out who wants to be the last to leave.
Kevin, I do have a question. Can I
You
just
just
ask
wanted to
you-
wait till everybody left.
Can I just ask you? Well,
Of course.
it's only I signed up for Oakville.
Yes.
There was a part I didn't see High Park as an
Yeah, yeah.
option.
Oh, you're just wondering about like which group to assign, you mean?
No, I didn't want to take a space when you
Yeah.
only have
Yeah,
so
so
many
you-
limited spaces.
Yep.
So when you see me in Oakville,
Yeah.
ignore me because I'm going to
Okay.
be in High Park. Okay. I just wanted to fill it out.
I would have been 98% sure that you weren't mutinying your bunch and going to Oakville. So
I just
yeah,
had to put something in. So
yeah.
I put
Some
that.
people are, they're just add-on, so to speak, add-on offshoot groups to these first 3 we
Yeah.
did. Some people are putting it in that alumni thing. Just there's,
Well, I was going to do that, but then I saw that
Yeah.
later on there was something else to do with alumni, and I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah,
oh, I
but-
don't want to make it more confusing.
no,
so-
that's fine. Either one was fine. And yes, you're on my my Tuesday morning
Yeah.
default list for now. So,
Great.
okay.
Great.
See
I
you
just
soon.
wanted to make sure you knew that. Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. Bye.
Cheers.
Have a good
Okay.
evening.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.